Now let's ride!
YouTube, what's up? Agility Points here, and if you know me, you know I love good gameplay, but even more so, I love being overpowered. This video is going to go over both of those things in one of my favorite roguelikes, Undermine 2. I was a huge fan of the original Undermine, and Undermine 2 is just bringing back more of what we love, plus some. Not to mention they're releasing more content for the game in the near future. So whether you're a new player, or even someone who's already dipped their toes in a little bit, this video is sure to give you a few really good tips. We'll go from some of the more basic tips to the more advanced ones to help pace the information for any new players. Starting with number 1, hub world purchases, any of them that you make, are permanently added to all of your future runs. By purchasing new relics and potions in the hub world, you'll actually be adding those into your future runs, and this will result in diluting your good loot with some of the more mediocre loot, meaning rerolls, transmutations, all of that stuff will more likely be butt cheeks. There are obviously some good ones you'll want to add, but since these relics and potion purchases are permanent, you'll want to consider exactly what you're adding. If for some reason you feel like you want all your runs to be based around your projectiles, you'd be making a mistake by avoiding some of the best melee relics in the game, since, obviously not all your runs are going to go exactly as you want them to. So it's best to just grab the best ones for every occasion. By doing this, you'll be more likely to see more powerful loot that you purchased, as well as the top tier ones that are already unlocked from the very start. The next tip is leaving items on the ground. This is easily one of the best tips to learn early on, as it can lead to the quality of your runs improving dramatically and even sometimes be the reason your runs become absolutely busted. Whenever an item appears in a room, don't just pick it up immediately. The reason for this is because you might come across, say, a potion that lets you dupe those items, or even relics and arcana that can help you cook food or even duplicate gold. Any food you left behind can be revisited, cooked, and now heal you for more health. This is especially helpful when you have a way to use your HP in exchange for loot somewhere on that floor. Gold nodes you ignored can now have a chance to duplicate when it hits the floor because you picked up golden popcorn first. Keys, bombs, curse removal talismans all now have a chance to be duplicated because of a potion you might have picked up. There's even more examples like this, but the main thing to take away is by leaving some items behind, you're essentially giving yourself the constant opportunity to multiply the amount of resources you're gaining. Also, if you find potions that drop items on the ground after drinking them, you can sometimes have a situation where you pick whatever room has the most resources you left behind, drop even more items in them, and have it set up for a mega duplication room. We'll go over a more advanced duplication later on, as it kind of has like a buttload of tricks to it, that you'll eventually be able to engage with and get absolutely disgusting results. Let's talk about prioritizing rooms. There's not a one-way guide for how to do this since each run can be so different, but here's some general rules of thumb to consider each dive. Visiting a shop later in the floor can actually lower the price of loot. By finding charisma blessings throughout the floor, you'll be reducing all shop prices for that run. If you visit a shop before getting charisma, shop prices for that floor will not change once they're set. So no matter how much charisma you gain afterwards, those prices are set in stone. It doesn't have to be the very last thing you visit, and if anything, visiting shops late won't always be the right choice depending on your run. For example, if you have a boatload of gold already, you might visit it early to try and get something that can boost your resource gain as soon as possible. Normally, we won't have a ton of gold at the start of a new floor anyway, and on top of that, shop prices increase each time you go further down, so visiting early is oftentimes not beneficial. Now, as for what I'd recommend going for first, I'd have to say the relic room. The reason being is that the relics in there are free, and it might just have something that can increase the value of the rest of the floor. Relics like popcorn that give you a chance to duplicate items or gold can be so valuable that it's extremely worth trying to sneak a peek in there as quickly as you can. Sometimes it's even worth re-rolling a relic room at least once to try and get a resource relic. If the relic room doesn't have anything amazing, then you could always leave the relics there until at least visiting the shop. That way you can determine if it's worth going back and re-rolling some more. If the relic room is offering something that's not amazing but still pretty decent, I'll usually try to buy everything that's worth it in the shop, and if there's not enough left for a relic reroll, so be it. Because honestly, a decent relic is better than wasting your money trying to fish for a specific relic that you might not even get. Plus, later on you unlock the ability to sacrifice 2 relics in exchange for a random one, so there's less reason to feel butthurt over, getting any kind of garbage you might have picked up. The next best thing to go for as soon as possible is actually the altar room. The reason for this is because certain curses can actually help you a ton throughout your runs, and the earlier you get them, the better off you'll be. We'll go over curses right after we talk about secret rooms. So there are secret rooms and secret basements that you can visit on each floor. Secret rooms require an explosion against the hidden wall, and basements are hidden underneath rocks that you can blow up. Enemies can also help reveal those for you as well. The little beetle that shoots that laser out across the room can also break rocks and even hit the secret wall. Giant monkey enemy that charges at you, you can basically lead him into rocks so that he breaks them, as well as the hidden walls. There's also one enemy that drops mines underneath the ground that you can run over to activate them. Even the little slime pilfers that try to steal your gold can sometimes spawn a bomb pilfer. I'm sure you've seen them, but anytime there's gold that's lootable, there's a chance for them to spawn, so keep your eyes out for them. Once you smack them, they'll drop a lit bomb that you can, smack in the direction that you want to maybe blow up a rock or even the hidden wall. Now, in order to help find these secret rooms, instead of randomly just wasting a ton of your bombs, there's actually a few really helpful tricks that can make things a whole lot easier. First is that anytime an explosion happens in a room that happens to have a secret wall, it'll now have like a shining light through it, and your minimap will actually also have a little icon indicating that there is a secret room. Second, because there's also secret basements hidden underneath rocks, whenever you're attempting to look for a secret wall, you should always consider first blowing up maybe like a cluster of rocks that you can get all with one bomb, and that way you might reveal the secret basement while simultaneously revealing which wall has the secret room. And third, a secret room will be on every single floor by default and can even have more than one. Oh, and you better believe that some secret rooms and basements can also have secret rooms in them too. All right, so let's talk about curses and how they can be sometimes a good thing. Here's some examples. The bomb barrel curse, that one can help reveal secret rooms more easily just by blowing them up in that room. Or if you're lucky, the barrel might even be right next to the secret wall or the rock, and it will then reveal it. This helps save spending bombs all the time. You'd want this curse early because any rooms you've already visited will not have them spawned in. The barrels can also help deal damage to enemies, which is nice, but obviously it's a curse for a reason, so be very careful not to get caught in the explosion. There's even a curse that helps bring sparks to your explosions. This one's a bit harder to take advantage of since the fire only lasts for a few seconds, but you can use that fire to cook any meat nearby for more healing and even help you light torches to reveal secrets. Another decent curse is the one that allows you to unlock doors in exchange for HP. This is one you'll likely want to get rid of after a short time, but it can easily save you enough keys to carry you through a few floors pretty easily. Similarly, there's a curse that uses your health instead of gold. I love getting this one early, as the enemies early on aren't too difficult to deal with anyway, so having my HP act as a resource when it otherwise wouldn't be is extremely helpful. Not only that, but there's plenty of relics that can counteract the HP loss, allowing you to carry this curse for a while if you're lucky. Both this and the key curse will have you stacked with gold and keys, so after you remove it, you'll really be able to splurge. And lastly, one of the best curses in the game would have to be the ones that spawn enemies in rooms, like the lightning smidgens. These little guys will actually spawn on top of water in any room, and if you happen to have the 4-leaf clover relic, it makes it so enemies will now drop gold. And I don't know, maybe they'll patch this at some point, but you can practically farm them infinitely. But realistically, I only really farm them on the lower floors because they will drop more gold, and it's usually only to maybe make a purchase that I might be just a few gold short of. This next tip is all about rerolling shops. This is something you will have to unlock in the hub world after you successfully donate enough gold to the shop during your runs, but once unlocked, rerolling a shop has the obvious benefit of allowing you to pick from different items that are being offered. But the really sweet thing here is the fact that shop rerolls actually affect any items in the shop, so that includes items that you can bring personally. For example, drinking a potion to drop basic steak items, then hitting the reroll will change those steak into fish or meat on the bone, giving you way more healing. This also goes for keys and bombs. Say you want more bombs than keys, you would drink those potions and it would drop a key, a bomb, some meat. You could, pick up the bomb, hit the reroll, and now suddenly that key will turn into a bomb. So that'll sort of help you catch up on whatever resource that you might be lacking. It's also worth mentioning that keys and bombs can reroll, or rather transmute, into curse removal talismans and vice versa, which is obviously not a bad thing. It's just something to keep in mind. Not only the basic items, but even potions you drop in the shop can be re-rolled. There's a couple of ways to do this, since you can't just drop potions from your inventory with the press of a button. One way is to use a potion that drops other potions. This is one you will have to unlock, but don't fret if you don't have it yet, since there's another way to drop them. All you gotta do is have your potion slots filled, then simply trade your least valuable potion for one in the shop. I often try to keep my potion slots maxed specifically for this trick, since there's so many crazy powerful potions that if you can re-roll into, will make a huge impact on your run. Even relics and arcana can be re-rolled in a shop. This one is a bit trickier since there are very few methods to actually dropping a relic, but the arcana is a bit simpler since, like potions, you can just replace your arcana slot with a new one from the relic room or the shop. In order to drop a relic in the shop though, you'll need a potion like the Metamorphin or the Mighty Metamorphin. These potions can transmute your relics and arcana, but the more important takeaway here is that they also drop them on the ground, giving you the opportunity to pick up any that you want while re-rolling the ones you don't. The last part of this video goes into the deeper parts of duplicating. I left this last because, as I said before, I wanted to pace this video so that any newcomers wouldn't be overloaded with information. And of course, you could always revisit this video to give yourself a refresher on how duping works and all the insane tricks you can do with it. Because without a doubt, duplication is very overpowered, from making your runs go smoother in general, all the way to absolutely breaking the game. Now, there's a lot of different ways to use duplication, mostly from potions, but there's also relics that can contribute too. There's also even arcana that can do it, and getting these can skyrocket the run if you do get them. First, for potions, there's a few different ones. One for food, for gold, another that will dupe basic items such as keys and bombs and curse removal. And then the best one that usually ends up being the culprit to a lot of broken runs is the Rainbow Kernels potion. Except for relics and arcana, this potion will duplicate everything in the room. One of the most common places to use these potions is in the shop. When you use a dupe potion in the shop, the purchasable items will then be duped, allowing you to pick up the copies without having to spend any gold. Super handy trick whenever you're low on keys, bombs, or health. Because the shop already has a decent amount of items in it already, it will often feel like the best place to drop any extra items in and then dupe everything at once, on top of being able to re-roll the shop to tweak the loot however you prefer. With that said, you should still be setting up rooms throughout the floor to be potential dupe rooms, as the item in some rooms might be greater value than the shop, especially when those rooms have potions, relics, arcana, or blessings in them, since they can, usually be pretty hard to find. Probably one of the funnest things about Undermine is being able to fill a room completely with items, then multiplying it all over and over, This will lead to some of the most fun and broken God runs I've experienced, and it's always worth chasing. Let's talk a little bit about the arcana that can contribute to making those God runs. One of them is called Magic Powder. This one does a few things like being able to turn bombs into keys and vice versa, but it also cooks food for you, and it can even increase the size of lit bombs for bigger explosions. But the absolutely craziest thing it can do is actually duplicate blessings. There's a few things worth noting. You can only duplicate a blessing once with Magic Powder. The copies won't let you duplicate them further. You can, however, duplicate the blessings with something else first, then use the Magic Powder after to get twice the value. You are also able to transmute the copies, meaning you're able to change the blessing into a different one, and there's a super good reason to do this besides fishing for the ones you want. If you do manage to transmute the blessings and you don't get what you wanted, it's totally fine because there's a way to sacrifice blessings in exchange for strengthening ones that you do want. The vendor that lets you do this has to be unlocked first, but once he is, there's a neat trick you can do to really maximize your blessings, especially with Magic Powder. Anytime you sacrifice a blessing and choose one to strengthen, the vendor will actually place the blessing on the ground for you. This is huge since altars basically force the blessing into your character, whereas now we have a way to interact with it while it's on the ground. It does cost 500 gold per strengthen, as well as the mana cost of using powder, so be sure to have a decent amount of those whenever you're going to the next biome. Luckily, the Magic Powder can hit multiple items at the same time. So if you manage to stack your loot on top of each other, you'll only need to use the powder once. One major thing to note, whichever blessing you choose to sacrifice, he will actually take the entire stack. So not just one, it will be however many you have. Maybe they'll change this in the future, but as of now, that is the case. And like I mentioned earlier, getting blessings you don't want isn't exactly a bad thing anymore. In fact, if for some reason you're able to get blessings to show up in the vendor's room, you can actually use the Magic Powder on it, duplicate it, pick up one, not both, then trade each one individually for a blessing that you do want. The other arcana, and probably one of my favorites, is the Goblet of Grin. This thing is crazy. This arcana actually lets you use whatever potion you have selected in your inventory at the cost of mana instead of using the actual potion itself. Yeah, the mana cost is super expensive by default, so having relics that can make it cheaper to use can help a lot. The amount of potential with this arcana is disgusting, but the ultimate goal is to find a Rainbow Kernels potion. Once you have that, it's GG. There are a ton of powerful ways to use it. A room with a bunch of blessings in it, potions that can increase blessings multiple times. You'll have a lot of fun figuring out different ways to use it, but one of the best ways that I've found to use it is going to the labs biome, the second floor. Here you can actually brew a potion that will double your blessings. Oh boy, is it satisfying to see 9999 stats like all over. All right, that's it. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Take care. Bye bye.